start with? Live from New York, the show that's going to lead with Derek White.
Do it.
He's got a good contract with the Celtics. Nice extension.
Yeah.
Everyone else making moves. You're like, I don't know. Why don't the champions stay the champions?
This guy is really all of a sudden going to act like he's a Celtics
It's a big
guy.
deal.
It's unbelievable.
I might buy the Celtics if things go well.
Oh, yeah. They're for sale. You see that, Brew? Celtics for sale.
I know.
Wildes, Bill Simmons are going to be pitching in
Get a
together.
Wahlberg in there?
Yeah,
I had
there
some
you go.
Wahlburgers this weekend.
It looked like it was coming down to the Lakers or Mavericks. And look, I said Friday, Lakers go get Klay. I thought it would have been a great move for them.
You did.
But for Klay, I like this better. Dallas is closer. I'm sure he wants some retribution with the Warriors, right? And what better way to do it than to win ring number 5 somewhere else? And so I think Dallas has a much better chance than the Lakers are doing it. He would have been a nice little third guy with AD and LeBron, but they're ready. And I like what Dallas has done this offseason, getting Quentin Grimes. That's more three-point shooting.
Yep.
Obviously, Klay gives them three-point shooting. With Kyrie and Luka, now I'm wondering if they'll play a little differently next year. But with Kyrie and Luka, 2 ball-dominant guys, you need a guy that can score in bunches without having the ball a lot. Obviously, that's Klay Thompson. Look, he averaged 18 points and 39% shooting from 3. So everybody wants to act like he's done.
Yep.
He's not. So this is a great move for them, give some more veteran leadership. I like what they're building around Luka. Like, you got Kyrie, who's won a championship. Now you've got Klay, who's won several championships. He can even talk to Luka about how you defend, even though you're not going to be a great lockdown defender. Steph did this. Talk a lot, just be in the right position. He can help Luka with all that. So this is a fantastic move.
I mean, it's a great fit. And I remember, I think I talked with you about it, Brew, years ago. It might have been when LeBron went to the Lakers before they got Anthony Davis. And we were talking about the perfect fits alongside LeBron James.
Oh, yeah.
And AD was one of them. And Klay Thompson was one of the first guys we mentioned. It's not that he's the best player in the league, even pre-injuries, but as far as fit. Yeah. Well, there's no player in the league that plays offensively as similar to LeBron as Luka does. And they now have, again, a lesser version, but they have Klay Thompson to spot up, to hit threes. You know that if you are on the Mavs, you are going to be spoon-fed open three-pointers, and still, even post-injury, catch and shoot threes. Yep. Klay's one of the best in the league. I understand his final game with the Warriors, he's 0 for 10. It was a sad performance. But the second half of last year, he played much better than he did the first half of it. So for the Mavs, I really like it. I am baffled at the total inability of Rob Pelinka to get anything done ever. You had a scenario where
just praise him a week ago?
I thought they made a good draft pick, but the thing is, you have to pick somebody, and so that is not landing a plane. That is, He did fall to him, and again, I think that was a smart pick, and I give praise where it's due. But you have a scenario where the greatest player of his generation, in my opinion, the greatest player ever, says, you know what? I'll take a pay cut. You have a scenario where a player clearly wants to stick it to his former team in Golden State. The Lakers are closer to rivals to the Warriors than the Mavs are. And even if the Mavs are closer to contending, the Lakers beat them in the last playoff series they were in. His daddy broadcasts the games, and they're on the water. They have all those things. You have all those things going for you. And I understand people are like, oh, California state tax. Clay's used to it.
Yeah, he's tired.
I mean, maybe. But the state tax thing falls a little hollow. I understand that. But I don't think that's the deciding factor. If you said it right before we went on the air, Brew, and maybe you said it in your opening statement, I'm not sure, about Nico Harrison. Man, he's doing a hell of a job. Nico Harrison gets to Dallas, starts making moves where he can in the margins, pounces at Kyrie Irving. If only there was a place that we know the star wanted Kyrie Irving. Hires Jason Kidd. If only there's a place where we know the star wanted Jason Kidd. These things, and now Klay Thompson, you can't land that plane. I'm happy for Klay, and I don't begrudge him this. But it is, how many times are we going to hear about the Lakers being in on something and then the front office not being able to get it done? And this one should not have been that hard.
If Klay Thompson prefers going to Dallas over the Lakers, what's Rob Pelinka supposed to do? I mean, it's not like you could offer him a ton more money.
Right, but isn't that in some part what the point of a GM is? To sell your team to a potential coach or a potential free agent? Is that not?
But how much selling? I mean, if I'm like, look, they got a better shot at winning a championship than you do.
Why does
I don't care what you say. It's not like you can offer me twice as much money.
But if it's just that's where Klay wanted to be, then why does Nico get credit? You said Nico's doing a great job. If you get credit,
then take away credit.
No, but I don't want.
No, but seriously, all I'm saying is if I want to go someplace else, I don't care what you say to me. I'm on my own man, unless you can give me a bunch more money. No, I'm just saying I don't think you can crush Pelinka. Oh, he couldn't get Klay. Klay wanted to go to Dallas.
So again, that last part, if it were reported that from the moment that Klay might be leaving Golden State, that, he has his eyes set on the Mavericks. That's where he's going to go. This came up quickly, I don't want to say out of nowhere. People thought the Magic were a possibility. Yeah. People thought Oklahoma City or Philly were a possibility. Something happened to where all of a sudden Dallas became his preferred destination. To me, that is a sign of a good front office. Is that like?
I don't think I don't think there was any magical meeting where they, really? Where Klay was like, I never thought about that. Wow, thanks, Nico, you're giving me. And LeBron called him.
Yeah.
I mean, why aren't you looking at LeBron? LeBron couldn't land the plane. He called Klay.
LeBron's not the general manager.
Yeah, but he took it upon himself to give him a call.
That's my point. Even with LeBron James' help, with Danny Hurley and with Klay Thompson, they can't get their guy.
But that wasn't enough for Klay. Maybe Klay rather play with Luka than LeBron.
If that's all it is, so be it. The point, I am now of the belief, and maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they will end up getting DeMar DeRozan, or maybe, and then everything's all fine. But I think that we are going to end up with LeBron not taking a pay cut because they don't have anyone to give the monay to. And that is a failure of an organizational failure. And so if Klay's number one goal is to win a championship, I think the Mavs with Klay are in a better position than the Lakers.
They're in better position than Orlando. The Mavs in Orlando, so that takes. OKC, there's an argument there.
Philly would have also been an interesting one.
Maybe he didn't want to go all the way east. Who knows?
But there were a lot of, to me, you scoffed at it before the show and then maybe here as well. I think that you did have a real nostalgia angle of Michael Thompson, it being his team, that I thought was a chip that could work in their favor. Maybe you disagreed with me.
I just don't think it's a large chip. I think, and I'm sure Nico is doing a great job, but if he's like, I just spoke to LeBron, like, oh yeah, did he talk to you about how he got bounced in the first round while we were headed to the finals and we think we can go further if we have you? It's like, all right, that's done. Like, Klay, you're about winning.
Right.
You're not about, you're leaving a championship roster that is fading. You're going to join another championship roster that's fading. It's going to try to fight and claw into the play-in, unless it's a ton of money, which he already has money.
Let's not disregard human nature. If I were in Klay Thompson's shoes, I want to stick it to the Warriors. You paid Draymond. You paid Wiggins. You won't pay me.
I agree with that entirely.
And going to the Lakers and going out in the first and second round isn't repaying the Warriors. Going to Dallas and winning a championship, now you have one more. I'm not saying he has beef with Steph and Draymond, but you got one more than them now? Like, that's huge.
I agree. What else you got?
No, I thought for the sticking it to the Warriors part, that's another one that I thought was a plus for the Lakers.
Over Dallas?
Yes, because I look at the Lakers and Warriors play on Christmas. The Lakers and Warriors have played in the playoffs. The Lakers and Warriors, there is a real, and there's a California history.
It's more LeBron, Steph. Let's keep it real.
It's true.
Agreed. But I guess my point is, if you're trying to stick it to the Warriors, teaming up with your guy's generational rival is the sticking it to him.
It's sticking it to Steph and Draymond.
I don't think he wants
to stick it to Steph.
Heavyweight fight with no title belts on the line. It's like, what a battle. Like, where's the belt? It's like, we actually
Leonard
don't have
Durant
any,
3.
We don't have any
Remember
belts.
that?
Yeah, no,
Nobody remembers
that's
that,
fair.
'cause there was no
That's
championship.
fair.
It's
But
awesome,
you
and
understand
it's-
what I mean about that? The Lakers Warriors feels like a thing in a way that Warriors Mavs doesn't.
I agree with that.
100%.
There's no Mavs Warriors
Right,
rivalry.
maybe there
but if
will
they
be,
win a
could- yeah,
championship,
sure.
it'll still be.
Clay wins a championship.
It's unbelievable. And all of
They
a
got
sudden
a
he's a
shot.
guy with 5.
And Kyrie's get.
Does he move up?
What? He certainly gets in that
He
new top
should've been,
75.
right.
All right, so now let's talk about Golden State.
Yeah.
Splash Brothers now estranged. Clay will be wearing a Dallas jersey next time we see him. After nearly 1,000 games with the Warriors, this trio, Draymond, Steph, and Clay, conclude their run. 6 finals appearances, 4 titles, 720 games together, and 6 most wins by a trio all time. Gee, 718 winning percentage. Are you viewing this as the official end of the Warriors?
I mean, it's certainly the end of an era. I mean, because their championships, even with Kevin Durant there, because he was there obviously for just the 2, it's about Steph, Clay, and Draymond.
Mm-hmm.
Steph and Clay, best backcourt ever. Mark Jackson said it, best shooting backcourt ever early in their career, and they became the best backcourt ever. So in that regard, it's the end of an era. Look, I think the Warriors, they still are going to try to make some moves. Lowry Markkanen is out there from Utah. I love that.
I love that too.
Oh
I would
my
love
God. If
it.
they
I don't
do
see
it,
how they can get it, but go ahead.
It's going to be different. You're right.
Yeah.
He's a perfect fit if they can get him.
Yes.
And even if they get him, I think, I think I don't know I have a graphic on tiers later, but not for this one. But I think that they're.
Won't tease the top of the show. There's a graphic coming up.
I think that they're basically where they were last year. They're fighting to just get in the postseason. And that includes the play-in, not just the real playoffs, but the play-in. 10th, 11th.
Yeah, there's a lot of. And by the way, I saw the Markkanen thing as well, but I also saw this weekend that they could have gotten Levine. And they said no to it because, to me,
just for Chris Paul or Wiggins.
You're right, and then a little salary filler. So that, to me, indicates that Joe Lacob was telling the truth. That their number one goal is to not get under the apron, but to get under the tax, and that this is over. Now, I don't view this as I view this as the end of the end. We know what the beginning of the end was. The beginning of the end was this moment right here, before they played a single game in their title defense. This, as history will tell it, was the beginning of the end of the Warriors. We just didn't know it yet, but it was. And nothing was right ever since then. That year, they, tried to deal with it, and then they go out kind of quietly in round 2 to LeBron and the Lakers. Then next year, we don't have to keep playing this. The next year, they deal with more Draymond-related nonsense, and now they're broken up. One of my biggest takeaways of this deal was, wait, what were the Warriors willing to offer Clay? Like, Josh or Dust, can someone remind me in my ear, what did Malik Monk get?
Well, I thought it was 2 years, $48 million.
But did Malik Monk, off the top of my head, I thought he got 4 for 78, but maybe I'm wrong on, it is 4 for 78. Yeah. Okay. So that is $19.5 million a year. 3 for 50 from Dallas, I understand state taxes, is $16.7 a year. The Warriors weren't willing to give Klay Thompson, Malik Monk money? Like, I understand, like, not giving him a max. But there was no, like, all right, man, like, you are the second or third most important player in the history of the franchise. Steph is still here. We paid Draymond, who's been out of his mind. Like, and so that, to me, signaled this was not purely a we can't afford you. It was a we are turning the page. We as a franchise are turning the page, and we can't turn it fully with Steph, Clay, and Draymond all here. So we're not going to match in a world where Hartenstein's worth 87. And hey, listen, I understand younger player, different position. Hey, it's not apples to apples, but there seemingly was no loyalty bonus for Clay, which maybe is good business, but it signaled to me the Warriors were done, like the Warriors were turning the page.
I'll ask you a question, Brew. So we just spent the last 5 minutes like, all right, Pelinka couldn't land the plane. LeBron made the call, couldn't land the plane. Are you surprised? I'll ask you a two-parter, Brew. Pick your question. Are you surprised that Steph didn't throw his body in front of this? And do you think that this will affect, this trio has been together so long, had their highest highs, do you think removing one part of the trio affects the other two guys negatively?
That's a great question. Questions.
Plural.
I'm not going to blame Steph for not jumping into and saying, hey, you got to keep Klay, because it's not like keeping Klay is going to make them a championship contender. All right? And I'm not saying Steph is fine with him leaving. I'm sure he would want him there. But Steph probably also wants to do whatever we can to get back to a championship level. And I think the best thing for him to do probably is to just stay out in front, stay away from it, because it would just be emotional. It'd just be sentimental. If they re-sign Klay, would we be saying they're any better than they are today? I mean, he's better than nothing, which is what they have now. But I'm just saying. So the second part, Draymond, and I don't know what his relationship with Klay was, but when he kind of laughed it off on the podcast, remember when Klay stopped following him on social media and all that stuff, that shows that I think Draymond seems like he'll be fine moving on. I do think Steph will be bothered.
As long as Draymond's got Jackson for the podcast, he's not. He's got his team in place.
No, I think that also Klay may have taken less money elsewhere. Is a little different than taking less money from where you've been and you won championships.
So that
and all
part
that.
I totally agree with. There is. If a place I'll just use Fox as an example, just because there's only TV job I've ever had. I've worked here my whole career. If all of a sudden I felt like they were, basically trying to move on from me because they offered me, X dollars, a tenth of what I was making before, I might take that exact same deal with someone else that wouldn't feel disrespectful because it's like, no, I have sweat equity, and in Klay's case, championship equity built up with you. So I agree with that.
And the role, they were asking him maybe to come off the bench.
So that part, and I also think there was an emotion of, man, I am not going to be able to quit thinking about the player I was before the injuries as long as I'm still wearing this uniform.
I buy that.
Like that I do. I think that is a legitimate human thing. Like for me to be able to fully accept that I'm in a different place, I need to literally be in a different place.
Yep.
Like that would make sense. For the Warriors, their miss was those draft picks. You had an opportunity in the midst of championship contention to draft number 2 overall, number 7, and number 14. And the only one of those is a total zero in Wiseman. Yeah. Moody, you're still yet to get anything from. He's so young, you don't want to give up on him. And Kuminga's shown flashes, but it's less about those players not turning into stars and more about their refusal to package those players for known quantities. Oh. And then you add to that that we now got the final results on the Jordan Poole trade. Nothing. You traded him for Chris Paul, essentially, and you just bought Chris Paul out. So like that, you had this late first, was he late first or early second round pick? I don't remember in Poole, that overachieved. You had the second pick. You had 2 other lottery picks. And what you have to show for it is Kuminga
I think, obviously, the Jordan Poole thing is terrible. You get nothing for him. But, look, Trace Jackson Davis, you got Kuminga, Podziemski. Like, they do have some young talent. I'm not saying it's not championship-level talent. But, if they can get a Markkanen, and I don't want to make him seem like he's the second.
That was my number one Lakers target. I think he's excellent. But I just don't see how they're going to be able to square it. It seems like the
Levine thing is bizarre. Like,
it's not bizarre if they're just trying to cut money. If they think we need to get under the tax to reset all the calendars,
I think it's get under the tax unless we can build like a team we know is right there with the top contenders in the league.
Yeah, fair enough.
Give me quickly out the door, bro. Warriors are in what place at the end of the year?
Oh, I've got it.
10th.
Yeah, I had 11. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.